Have you ever thought about a road trip across an entire hemisphere? I'm talking about a highway that could take you from the icy wilderness of Alaska all the way down to the tip of Argentina. Well, it's real. It's called the Pan American Highway, and it's almost perfect. Almost.
We are talking about an absolutely epic scale here, nearly 30,000 kilometers. That's a road that crosses 14 countries, deserts, towering mountains, and lush rainforests. You could literally get in your car in Fairbanks, Alaska, and point it south towards Buenos Aires, except for one tiny, impossible little stretch.
Because right in the middle, for just 87 miles, the road just stops. It vanishes. There's no bridge, no detour, not even a dirt track. It's just jungle. A solid wall of green where the world's longest road hits a dead end.
And here's where it gets really fascinating. This isn't some mistake or a project they just forgot to finish. For over a century, this gap has been kept empty deliberately. Today, we're going to unpack the 3 incredible reasons why, and believe me, they involve disease, protected lands, and even a secret Cold War strategy.
So let's back up a little. The whole idea behind the Pan American Highway was, well, it was a massive dream, right? To physically and economically stitch the Americas together with one single ribbon of asphalt.
The concept first popped up way back in 1923, and by the 1950s, they were actually building it like crazy. Country after country paved their part of the route. And you know what? It totally worked. Today, tons of people have driven it, sharing their adventures online. It's a real feat of engineering.
But everything, and I mean everything, grinds to a halt right here, at the border between Panama and Colombia. This 87-mile stretch is the Darién Gap, and it is, without a doubt, one of the most rugged and unforgiving places on the entire planet.
Okay, so the first and most obvious reason for this gap is just the sheer brutality of the environment. And this isn't just any jungle we're talking about.
The terrain here is just relentlessly hostile. It's one of the densest and wettest places you can find, a never-ending maze of swamps and rivers. The ground is basically muck. Heavy machinery just sinks into it, and any foundation you manage to build gets wiped out by constant floods.
So, what's the price tag to conquer this beast? Well, the World Bank estimates that building this road today would cost up to $40 billion. To put that into perspective for you, that is more than the entire yearly economic output of a country like Bolivia.
Pretty much every engineering firm that's ever looked at this has said the same thing. Sure, with enough money and time, it's technically possible. But the cost, both in dollars and in political will, is just not happening. But as we're about to find out, the insane cost is far from the only thing stopping this road from being built. All right, let's dig into the deeper, man-made reasons. Because as tough as the jungle is, the political barriers might be even bigger. There are really 3 core reasons this gap still exists. First, it's a biological barrier. The jungle acts like a natural quarantine, stopping agricultural diseases like foot and mouth from spreading north and potentially wiping out North America's cattle industry. Second, it's about sovereignty. This land is the legally protected territory of the Imbara and Guna peoples. Plowing a highway through it would violate their rights and decimate an incredibly important hub of biodiversity. But here's the 3rd reason, and honestly, this one is straight out of a spy movie. During the Cold War, the US government saw the Darién Gap as a strategic weapon. Declassified documents actually showed they worked against completing the road because they saw the jungle as a natural wall, a wall that would stop communist fighters and weapons from moving north and threatening their most critical asset in the region, the Panama Canal. The gap was a geopolitical tool.
And this is where the story pivots from being a fascinating historical puzzle to a really urgent, ongoing humanitarian crisis. Because people are still crossing the gap, they're just doing it on foot. In 2023 alone, more than 500,000 migrants walked through the Darién Gap. These aren't adventurers looking for a thrill. These are families fleeing desperate situations with everything they own on their backs.
And just think about this. A staggering 1 in 4 of the people crossing are children. They're coming from all over the globe. Venezuela, Haiti, Ecuador, even as far away as China and Senegal. All of them risking their lives in one of the most dangerous places on Earth.
So the very thing that was designed to be a barrier has turned into something else entirely. The fact that there's no road means there's no government oversight, no border patrol, and absolutely no safety. It has turned the gap into a terrifying corridor of human suffering.
And this brings us to the really complex debate we're facing right now. With this crisis unfolding, should the world finally finish the highway?
The arguments on both sides are incredibly powerful. On one hand, building the road could unlock something like $3 billion in trade every year and allow for safer official border crossings. But the case against it is just as strong. Environmental science is clear. New roads almost always lead to massive deforestation. It would violate the rights of indigenous communities, and that risk of agricultural diseases spreading north is still very, very real.
So when we look at the Darién Gap, are we just seeing a missing piece of a road, or is it something more?
This 87-mile stretch of jungle isn't just an empty space on a map. It's really a mirror. It reflects all of our most complicated challenges: decades of geopolitical games, the ongoing fight for indigenous rights, the constant battle between economic progress and environmental protection, and the raw human desperation that forces people to risk everything for a chance at a better life.
And that leaves us with one last really challenging question. The Cold War reasons are long gone, but the environmental and human stakes have never been higher. As 500,000 people a year are paying the price for this gap, you have to ask, is this a road the world finally needs to build, or is it a gap the world still needs to keep? What is the right path forward?